Jensen 541R, designed by Jensen's in-house artist designer Eric Neal in the 1950s, regarded by many as the most beautiful British car design ever, and to me, the piece of penmanship that opened the way for the radical sleekness of the E-Type Jaguar in 1961. And providing the power, Austin's huge, physically huge, 4-litre engine that was used in civic vehicles such as the Shear Line, and I believe also in a lorry, mated to a 4-speed box with overdrive. Except that even in the early 60s, a small number of these cars have been converted to Jaguar power, which is where this particular vehicle, UEA 855, becomes interesting. Because when this car was 5 years old in 1965, a chap called Oscar Jobbins replaced the Austin 4-litre unit with a Jaguar 3.4, mated to the original gearbox. A setup that lasted him well until he sold the car to a young chap called Paul Sandals in 1971. Paul then drove the car for the next 6 years and replaced the Jaguar engine several times. In 1977, he put the partly dismantled car that had no engine and gearbox to one side. Fast forward then to 1985. UEA 855 is purchased by Professor Michi Ertl, who by day teaches car mechanics at Rodin Girls' School and by night rebuilds old vehicles of his own, but not necessarily according to the original spec. Because into the gaping hole that had been under this bonnet for the best part of 10 years, he fitted a Cortina 1.6 Pinto mated to an automatic gearbox. A setup that served his purposes for 15 years. Which of course brings us up to 1999, when I happen across an advertisement in Classic Car Weekly that reads like this: Jensen 541R, original body needs respray. Internal modifications include stainless steel exhaust and forward engine. With my response being that I am going to have that car no matter what. That car is going to be mine. So after I had removed most of the bodywork, which by the way in 1950s terms was made of that newfangled stuff fiberglass that permitted all these wonderful shapes, and repaired the corroded chassis, out came the Cortina 1.6 Pinto and automatic box, and in its place we fitted this, a BMW 1.9 straight 6 and 5-speed box that were culled from a smashed car. Purists sometimes feel confronted, but for me the only worthwhile question is, how well does she drive? like I say, she'll pull all day long, and very, very smooth. smoothly. And then knock it into fifth, and just under 70, 2,300 revs. Just down here we have what must be one of the most profitable speed cameras in the north. We'll come off this 50-mile-an-hour limit. Used to go straight through the 30 at 50, but ever since the camera's been there, it must be said it has stopped that. There it is there, the wicked lime green speed camera. We come to Seaton Delaval Hall, Vanbragh's masterpiece. Currently under purchase, I believe, by the National Trust after Lord Hastings, doing it for donkey's years, popped his clogs. And that sculpture is David slaying Goliath. About 20 years ago, it was nicked and then returned, I think, chopped into little pieces where someone had tried to scrap it, and to Lord Hastings' great credit, he paid, I think, about £32,000 to have it all repaired. So for me, the answer to the question, how well does it go, is simple. With its nicely weighted steering, its first class brakes, its smooth gear change, and its no lack of power, it's a joy to drive. But driving, of course, is only part of the story, because wherever you go in one of these magnificent looking cars, people, men, women, old, young, want to talk about its glorious shape. And that brings me back to the original point, that this sculptural machine is not just a car. It's a work of art, the masterwork of Eric Neal, Jensen's in-house artist designer. So, whether you're talking about one of the cars that in the early 1960s had a Jaguar engine fitted, of which a number do survive, or a car like this that's had a modern straight six fitted, or perhaps a completely mint original car that's going to win every concours award going, there's one thing that the owners of these vehicles all have in common: a shared appreciation of one of the finest pieces of automotive art to have come out of the UK and possibly out of the entire motor industry.